Hey everyone, Austin here again with another quick play. On today's session, we're gonna just kind of be casually strolling through Super R-Type for the Super Nintendo. This is a game I've covered on my channel a bunch of times. As some of you guys may know, or may not, this is actually one of my favorite shooters from this generation. A lot of people really do not like Super R-Type, but it's one I've been playing a long time, since the mid-90s. And despite its issues like slowdown and pretty much the lack of any kind of checkpoint system, it's a lot of fun when you know what to do. If you don't know what to do, it can be a little frustrating, but yeah, we're gonna try to go through this game. We'll see. I actually haven't played this in a while. And because I haven't actually played in a while, what we're going to do is leave it on normal as opposed to hard. I always play this on hard when I play it, but for the sake of this video, we're going to leave it on normal. There is a novice mode. There is easy. If you are playing this game for the very first time, I highly recommend lowering the difficulty. It'll make getting through the game and learning it much more doable as opposed to normal or hard. Now, interestingly, you know, on the various different difficulties, enemies will actually take more or less hits depending on, you know, what level you're at, what difficulty you're at, I mean. And so, you know, playing on the easier modes definitely allows you to get used to the game and its mechanics a whole lot easier. So, but yeah, man, I love this game. This is just one of those games I'm, for one, nostalgic about, but I also go back and I play it multiple times a year. Like, I probably fired this sucker up 3 or 4 times at the very least, probably more, because it is a shoot 'em up. You know, one of the great things about shoot 'em ups is they don't require a massive time commitment, especially if you already know how to play them and you already know what to do. But I think it's a great looking game. You know, this was like a launch window title, if not a launch title. And, you know, for the time, I think it looks, you know, very cool. It's colorful. It's got more of like a realistic kind of art style to it, which is, you know, what R-Type 2 in particular in the arcades had. This is modeled after R-Type 2, the arcade game. It does feature some levels from R-Type 2. And, yeah, but it has some of its own unique levels as well, like this first stage here. So, yeah, I just love this game. I love the soundtrack. Like, I still listen to the music all the time, too. It's just, like I said, it's one of my favorites. And, you know, it always saddens me when I hear so many people just kind of, you know, crap all over the game. And it is what it is. But, whatever. I'm gonna go ahead and just play it again for you guys, even though I've played it a bunch of times on my channel. And, yeah. Let's try to rip through Super R-Type. Now, the last level in the game I'm always the least comfortable with, so we'll kind of see what happens with it. You know, it's possible we might not even beat the game. We might get to the final stage, and then I'm just like, alright, I give up. You know, I've tried enough times. But, yeah. Yeah, probably the biggest issue with this game for newcomers is the fact that it basically doesn't have a checkpoint system. Or, I should say, its checkpoint system involves the only checkpoint being the start of every new level you get to. So you die, you go back to the very beginning of that stage. And if you continue, same deal. There are no mid-level checkpoints or anything like that. Yeah, we got a nice quick kill. It's really hard to do that on hard mode, if even possible at all. But on the normal difficulty, you can just do a double charge and then do a quick kill on that very first boss, like right as it appears. And Super R-Type, a bunch of the bosses allow quick kills. And so that's another key to this game in terms of like trying to get better at the game and actually trying to learn it. Like learning the quick kills is very, very good. So yeah, if you're new to this game, or if you're familiar with the game but like you haven't been that good at it and you want to get better at it, you know, hopefully this little gameplay session here should help you out. Also, feel free to check out some of my you know, my other gameplay sessions here on my channel with Super R-Type. So yeah, by default, if you hold down the Y button, it does an auto shot or auto fire. So I do recommend just kind of using that for a good portion of the playthrough. Now, it is very good to know when to charge up, because your charge shot is the most powerful thing in the game. Like, you can just rip through enemies like that in one shot. So, like in the original R-Type, you have one level of charge, like this, but if you charge it up farther, which was introduced in R-Type 2, which again, this game is actually based on, we're actually in an R-Type 2 level right now. If you do a double charge, basically the whole meter will turn orange, and it'll start flashing for a few seconds before it has to recharge, just like that. The double charge is insanely powerful. Just, it's good to get used to it, get used to charging it up double, and then just ripping and tearing through enemies. You can also unleash your pod, and you can sort of control it. You press A to unleash it, or detach it, I should say. And then you can press A to bring it back to you as well. So also very important to get used to that mechanic in this game. And not just this game in particular, but the whole R-Type series. I mean, the Force Pod system is insanely good. I mean, these games were designed around it. So, you know, one of the great things about R-Type is that there are so many different ways to play the game because of the Force Pod. Not only are you just, you know, you're not just stuck with like your little ring laser for the whole game. You can release your pod, and now it's a spread shot, you know, and then you've got your charge shot. It's really good stuff. R-Type is just such a great series. Not for everybody because of its difficulty, but man, I love it. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this just to show it off. This is the Reflect Laser, and another R-Type staple. This was a weapon that was around in the first R-Type, and that sort of ring laser that I was just using, that was also from the very first R-Type. Now, Super R-Type has a couple of weapons that are new-ish, and it's got this like sort of grenade bomb that you can get on approximately 2 levels in the entire game. But this boss also has a quick kill. Now, unfortunately, I'm probably not going to get it. You kind of need to be double charged, and I was not double charged. But as long as I play it safe here and actually take advantage of this slowdown, we should be fine. Okay, that's not good actually, because basically these pods behind me, actually, they get closer and closer and closer. Okay, we're good. Yeah, ideally, you know, you need to learn when, you know, like the weak points of the bosses open up, so you can have your double charge. You want to time your double charge for like right as they open up, and then you can just boom, instant kill them. Even on the highest difficulty levels, that second level boss can be killed in 1 hit if you time it right. Same goes for the boss on this level. If you time it right, you can get an instant kill right from the very beginning. So the quick kills are very important in this game in terms of survival. Otherwise, the bosses become troublesome, to say the least. So a lot of people complain about the slowdown in this game, but it's never really bothered me. But then again, I grew up with, you know, 8-bit consoles that just had tons of flicker and tons of slowdown. So slowdown never really bothered me that much. I mean, crippling slowdown is one thing, but this game isn't always slowing down, you know. Like right here, okay, it's really slow. It's not ideal, but you know what? No checkpoints, no nothing. I'm gonna take the slowdown. It gives me more time to react. And more time to react means less of a likelihood that I die and have to do the level over again. So I'm trying to get the pod onto the other side of me because, you know, while it's got a nice spread shot, it's better against like little light, you know, easy popcorn enemies. Basically the enemies that you can kill in 1 hit with any weapon. But for those barriers I was just trying to bust my way through, my ring laser was way better for that. Now in this part right here, we got this water that's pushing me up and down, depending on which way it's going. It's pretty cool level design here. Super R-Type doesn't get enough credit, you know, for its level design. I think it's got some really solid stuff here. Once you really learn the levels, I think they flow very well. And they're not, honestly, all that long either. Super R-Type itself is not even that long. The length really comes from dying and all the trial and error that you have to go through. And even though we're on the normal difficulty right now, this is still quite challenging. You can see all these enemies. Ideally, I would have gotten rid of this thing down here. Just like that, and then get rid of the one up top. These blue enemies, the guys that crawl on the ceilings, they actually, when you cross their path, they'll actually drop down. And so you've got to be aware of that. That's one of the learning curves on this stage. I'm going to try to point blank this guy. Basically get in, try to have all my projectiles connect with him. That's how you can do really rapid damage in this game. This is one of those games where, like, you know, every projectile that hits is doing damage. And that includes your force pod. That includes, like, your missiles as they drop. That includes, like, all the spread shots to whatever weapon you've got. Like, I had that, you know, orange fireball shot. Which actually isn't my favorite shot because it's generally pretty weak, but if you can point blank that sort of little mini boss there at the very end, then you're gonna do crazy damage real fast with it. Alright, so I'm gonna try to double charge. Just charge it up. And this weak point always appears from the left. Boom, got it. First try. Hell yeah. And if you're not able to get the quick kill, then, you know, the boss is a lot more troublesome. Alright, so this is the obligatory battleship level. It seems like every R-Type game has one of these. And this is a pretty good one. It's a pretty fun one, honestly. It's got some funky music. I really love, like, the music in this game. It's very jazzy, it's very groovy. And, I really enjoy it. It's even got some like, 70s, like, disco elements, almost. But, let's go ahead and switch over to this weapon just to show it off. This is that new, like, sort of grenade bomb kind of attack. It's very powerful, but you only get it at a couple of points in the game. And if you die on this level, you can't actually get it again on this level because you lose all your firepower. And the first weapon that you pick up always becomes a force pod. So even though you can technically pick up the grenade when you die and restart this level, it'll never actually give you the grenade. It'll just give you your force pod first. That's just how it works. That's R-Type for you. So you notice that I'm not picking up that that pink missile icon. It's because I actually prefer the blue missile. It's more powerful, and it's really good for this level in particular. Now that yellow laser up top that I could pick up could potentially be really good here. It travels along the ground, so it'll hit all these turrets for me. And then I'll use my pod here just to kill these other turrets. This game has a lot of like squishy sound effects too that are just like oddly satisfying to me. R-Type's always been like that with its sound design. It's always been very satisfying. R-Type is actually one of my favorite shooter series. For those of you guys that don't know, I have, you know, Super R-Type was actually my introduction to the series, believe it or not. It was my first R-Type game, and I loved it back in the day. You know, from the graphics to the music to the gameplay. And then I eventually got into R-Type 1 and 2, and then I would later get R-Type Delta. I'd later play the ports of the Game Boy originals as well. And then, of course, I was there for R-Type Final when it first came out. And now, as of doing this recording, R-Type Final 2. Which I need to put some more time into, actually. And, yeah, just great series. Super R-Type's got some great graphical effects, too. It's got that, like, typical SNES, you know, pixelated transition, you know, in and out of stages, which has always been satisfying to me. I love, like, early Super Nintendo game visual effects. Alright, so for this part right here, we need to watch out for these bouncing lasers. There's two of them. The second one is a lot more dangerous. I'm trying to get rid of that turret on the bottom just to make my life easier. But you just gotta watch out for the bounces. This is never randomized or mixed up. And we can stay up here. We can actually absorb these things with our force pod. Oh, that was actually a bad idea. Now my force pod is actually stuck in there. Man, I hope I don't get hit by any of these. Okay, looks like I'm good. Ooh, convenient. The force pod actually destroyed it. So the force pod sitting on top of enemies just does light damage. It does just a little bit of damage. And then if you shoot on top of that, it'll do even more damage. Yeah, this is another R-Type 2 arcade level. The level itself isn't too bad, however, by this point in the playthrough, I have a tendency of being, like, overly sped up. Just, like, way too fast, especially for the boss fight. Now, the boss fight is this, like, huge moving object, and so the game has a tendency of slowing down quite a bit on that boss. And I like to take advantage of that. Take advantage of the fact that the game is slowing down like crazy. I'd like to actually keep this grenade because it's actually really solid. I'd like to keep it, you know, through the rest of the game, like, if I can. Because it does, like, really good damage, which is really good against these enemies. Taking advantage of the slowdown. Remember, the slowdown can help you. You know, a lot of people see it as a detriment, but You know, in some shooters maybe it can be, but in this, you know, it's very easy to die. And this is one of those games where you touch a wall, you know, you're dead. There's no hugging walls in this like you can in later R-Type games like Delta or Final 2. So basically I just have more time to react, and I'm totally okay with that if it means survival. Now the homing missile might actually be handy here, but I'm gonna stick with my my blue bomb. Now, one of the things about the lack of a checkpoint system in this is that you are pretty much guaranteed to be fully powered up by the end of the level again. So if you die at a boss, you go all the way back. You got to do the level over again. When you get back to the boss, you'll at least have you know, full upgrades. So you know, the bosses will be a little more doable more consistently, regardless whether you die or not. You know, you should always be just about fully upgraded. Like, maybe you won't have, like, the paws on the tops and bottoms, which they can absorb some bullets. They can also act as, like, a firepower doubler or tripler, depending on, like, the weapon that you're using. Primarily just your ring laser. I don't think any of the other weapons actually will shoot from those pods. Yeah, something to keep in mind when you die in this game. It's like, yeah, man, it sucks having to go through the entire level again, but at least you'll have the necessary upgrades to you know, to defeat the boss when you get back to it. Super R-Type is one of those games where it's very much trial and error. You know, the R-Type series is what people used to call the thinking man shooter. It's a stylish shooter where it's more based around memorization, and you typically have more like stage hazards and things like that. Like in this game, walls can kill you, and the walls are obstacles. You have to be able to maneuver, you know, around them, and like that's a big part of this boss fight right here. So you basically just want to shoot his core in the middle. And what's great about this weapon I've got is it kind of like, if I position it correctly, it will... Oh, nice. That was very nice. Now, granted, we're on normal mode, so it is a little bit easier. That guy doesn't have as much HP. Hard mode, he's got a huge health pool. But I don't usually get to him with this weapon. So that's one reason why I wanted to keep this weapon, because, you know, it's allowing me to experiment in ways that I don't normally experiment with in this game. But this is our factory level. It's a pretty cool stage. This is another Super R-Type exclusive. I believe this is Super R-Type exclusive. I don't think this was in R-Type 2. But pretty fun level. If you're playing on the higher difficulties, it can be really difficult to recover here, because one thing you'll probably notice is, like, not a lot of enemies have been shooting at me. And that's one of the benefits to playing on normal. I mean, enemies do still shoot, obviously, but... on hard mode, it's like everything shoots at you. And then when you beat hard mode, you can unlock, I believe it's pro mode. Unfortunately, you can't just play pro mode out of the box. You have to go through hard mode to do it. I need to see if there's like a Game Genie code or something that allows me to, you know, start the game on professional mode. Everything is extremely tanky on professional mode. And it can be very, very challenging. And if you die on one of these levels, it can be insanely difficult to recover. You have to do tons of like dodging and weaving at all times, especially like when you don't have a force pod to start. Oh, and it looks like my little pods up top, they actually don't absorb bullets. I thought they did. Alright, so I'm gonna move the pod over that way, switch sides just like this. Just gonna use my spread shot here. Sometimes you can just push it forward. You know, positioning is really important in the R-Type series. It's not just Super R-Type. You know, making great use of your force pod can go a very long way. By the way, this is the second to last level. We're already near the end of the game. Now, how well the last level will go is, is yet to be seen. We'll see what happens. Alright, Alright, one of those sort of, laser enemies from earlier on in the playthrough. They're gonna appear again, this time behind you. After these guys appear. Alright, let's switch up. I can sort of lead my shots a little bit. Yeah, nice. Very nice. Alright, I think that's pretty much it. We'll be at the boss fight. Yeah, I'm really curious to see how this weapon will do on this boss, because it just... it's just a really good weapon. So we're gonna switch over like this. Oh no! I got screwed by bad hitboxes. I was trying to weave through the bullets, and it registered as a death. That was awful, man. I knew I should have probably just stayed at the bottom. Yeah, that's bad. We have to do this whole level over again. But also, I'm not gonna have the grenade weapon that I wanted, which is really a bummer. I really wanted to have that. But now we've got homing missiles, we can show those off. Oh man, that was a rough death. You can actually sort of like scrape your bullets above that platform, you'll end up hitting the turrets. So you can get a little creative with how you kill certain enemies in this game. Right, so this laser is actually going to be the force pod. You notice that the force pod's no longer a spread shot. This is what it's like at its lowest level. Another weapon upgrade will increase it ever so slightly. It'll basically turn it into like a two-way spread shot. And then the third weapon upgrade will turn it into its maxed out form. Have to be very patient here. Have to be careful too. Alright, much better. Yep, see now it's a two-way spread shot. Now, unfortunately, I don't think I'm getting another weapon. I think I'm stuck with this. Nice. Alright, I'll stick with the missile. Alright, so now what I'm probably going to do is actually focus more on charging. Nice, that's one. You have to kill all three. Should be charging up. Alright, just one more. This one's probably almost dead. Boom, there we go. On to the final stage. Now the final stage is... it's a hard one. It really is. You've got constantly spawning enemies from the ceiling and the floor. You've got these, like, sort of bone dragon kind of things that constantly come out. I think the first one actually spawns right here. Yep. But I'll get the option, if I don't die at least, to get my grenade again. So we'll go ahead and try to roll with this for the rest of the stage. We'll see what happens. You look at how fast these enemies come out. Now, you don't want to hug the backside of the screen because some of those, like, bone dragon kind of things, they will actually come out from behind. So you have to be careful about that. There's the reflect laser. Might be a good idea to switch, but the thing is, like, it's not very powerful. Whereas this grenade is, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and just try to roll with this grenade. Alright, so this is actually good. We can tear through these yellow guys. Watch out for the mines. Take advantage of that slowdown. Oh, that was close. Ooh, that was really close. Oh man, that was scary. Oh, it looks like I'm stuck with the reflect laser. That's fine. Alright, let's see how we can do on this final boss. So we have a bunch of different ships that are stuck. You can actually free them. They'll actually shoot. Now this boss, like, you can really, I think, just get through it just with patience. Take advantage of that slowdown. Yeah, just patience. Would have been so much more useful if I had the secondary, or the second pod. I have the top one, I need the bottom one. Because of all these guys that spawn below me. Now, you're not timed in this game. So you can just really play patient if you want. Now, after this first little embryo, I'm gonna want to have to charge up, or I'm gonna want to charge up to hit the second one. Now, if I wanted to, I could toss my pod on the inside, but I don't trust it. It's intense. This guy's taking forever to kill. There we go. There's one. Wow, we got it. I don't know if it timed out, or if my lasers were actually hitting it. But, there we go, guys. We just beat Super R-Type. We only died once. Oh, man. A really, funny death, too, because it looked like I would have fit through those projectiles. But I died. But, whatever. It is what it is. The game is by no means perfect, but I still love it. And that's all that matters, right? So, Yeah, basically what will end up happening here is we'll get a little ending sequence, and then it'll just toss us straight into hard mode. And then if we beat hard mode, it'll toss us straight into pro mode, but I'm not going to actually play hard mode. I'm not going to go through it. But this will kind of give you an idea of how the game progresses. But yeah, that was Super R-Type. I hope you guys enjoyed that playthrough. I wasn't sure if I'd actually complete the game, but I'm glad that I did. It's always a good feeling being able to get through the game, even on just the normal difficulty, because even normal is still challenging, as you saw. Which is why, when you're a brand new player to this game, I recommend starting on Novice, and then bumping it up to Easy afterwards. I don't even know if Novice allows the full playthrough. It might only give you, like, the first few stages or something like that. Yeah, no shame in doing that, just to get used to the game. And then you bump it up to a higher difficulty, like normal, when, you know, you feel like you're comfortable. So, but yeah, that's Super R-Type. Fun game. Like I said, I love this game. I go back to it all the time. Even though I haven't played it in a little while, I still did pretty well, all things considered, so... But yeah, that is Super R-Type. If you guys have any other games you want to see played in this manner, whether I am good at them or not, feel free to drop a comment down below, and I'll consider adding it to a list and maybe getting around to it eventually. Yeah, if you've played Super R-Type, let me know your thoughts on it. Especially if you're the kind of person that actually enjoys this, because I seem to hear from people more often that don't enjoy it, which is always kind of a bummer. But it is what it is. But yeah, anything else you guys want to see me cover, feel free to post comments down below. Check out some of these other quick plays. I have a playlist. I'll try to link the playlist in the description box below, in case you are curious. We've had some pretty fun accomplishments recently in this series, surprisingly. And yeah, feel free to check out those other videos. And in the meantime, hopefully I've got enough of a backlog of these to where I can start focusing on a proper Let's Play walkthrough video with all my fancy editing and, you know, face cam and all that stuff. So yeah, watch out for that. Stay tuned. And as usual, we'll have our typical live streams and whatnot, you know, on the horizon as well. Typically on Sundays as of this point of recording this video. So, but yeah, that's gonna do it for me, guys. Thank you again for watching. I don't really have anything else to say, so until the next one, take it easy.